show that they were lying and the judge ruled in your favor? Is that what happened?
I think behind the doors of justice, I think what happened, they have this out, you know, nothing I can do about it. When the district attorney wants to not prosecute a case, he can just do that. He has a lot of cases, and I had gone into court, and, you know, when I openly said that, you know, the tapes were corrupted, you know, and that they were tampered with, and the clock shows it. The fact that several places 2 seconds is missing, and that when you look at the software, there's a red camera and 2 green cameras. The red camera means that there's been interrupted somehow. Okay? And so, you know, I brought that up, and I said, well, listen, I want to subpoena everything in it. You know, I want the original record. I want everything. And I want the program, too, so that I can look at it and see how he did this, okay? Because he knew, the manager knew that we were being filmed, because after I was thrown into the cruiser, and I was sitting in the seat, he made mention of the fact that everything's under camera. Of course, the cop had thrown me into the cruiser, you know, literally thrown me into the cruiser, where I, you know, because he says I tripped, but you know, I smashed into the
So basically, you had them with their pants down, and just like my friend Jim Fowler was fighting a case, you didn't take, you know, you just said, I'm fighting this all the way. I'm gonna protest every single piece of evidence, examine it all legally. I'm entitled to it, and you didn't back down. And they knew they were going to be embarrassed, and that it was going to be even more of a fiasco for them. I mean, they were wrong. We know they were wrong. So what happened? The charges.
Go ahead. I think. Let me go ahead for a second. I think it was a conspiracy, because I think there was a 30-day lapse period before the time on June 6th where I went. You know, the whole month of May. I think they were in conversations with the police, and everywhere I went to petition, like Winchington and Phillipston and different places, I was confronted by the police. They would show up, and then they would threaten me, like, you know, if there's any complaints, you know, we're going to come here and disturb it, we're going to throw you out, you know. And that's an interesting situation too, because one of the motions that I filed, probable cause, okay, no one is held to a probable cause hearing, and I went after the clerk over bonding. Okay, one of the motions that were going to be heard this other day, the clerks are supposed to be bonded under law, for just like you have insurance to do your job. Well, they don't have insurance, as far as I can tell to this point, because they never answered my letter that directing it, and I had brought it into my case. And of course, if they don't have bonding, they vacate their case, which would have opened up a wicked can of worms for them, because that means every paper. Remember, a clerk is a republic, a certified republic, you know, that signs and verifies the documents. Okay, she's got to do it under oath. Everyone, and of course, today the cops just go in there with business records. And of course, I had a case on that.
Steve, let me stop you. What you really did is they try to put you on trial, but you put them on trial. Is that correct?
Yeah, now you're getting it. That's exactly right. I put them on trial.
You put them on trial, and they said, we don't want none more of that. I mean, so what is the official sentence? Where does it stand now? I mean, there was not... What happened? Like, what's the final verdict or whatever?
When they came in and told me that the district attorney offered me this, when they told me they were going to dismiss it, he made this offer. And the offer was that I paid $50. And of course, it didn't go along with the silence of court costs, because that's an admission. And I said, wait a minute, no, you know, I'm never going to admit to anything. What, are you out of your mind? I said, let's go to court. You know, I'm ready. I'm not ready for court, but I'm going to get there. I'm going to lay down my foundation. Let's go. So he didn't dig that, and he said, well, he's going to dismiss the case anyway. So he did dismiss the case in front of the judge, and the judge did dismiss it, and then I made objections to it, because the fact is that it still goes on my record as a dismissal.
Yes.
But I wanted it to go on my record with a dismissal and my objections to it, because, see, I can't be found not guilty if they don't join. Now, see, here's the interesting part.
You wanted to keep going to trial to prove them wrong to get a not guilty. I see. I agree.
And when I first went into court, I didn't even want to join with them.
And they wouldn't let you. They wouldn't let you file the objection on the dismissal.
I did file the dismissal. Yeah, they did make note.
They did.
The judge did make note of my objections to the dismissal.
So what are your plans now dealing with this case? Are you going to pursue civil? Any civil? I mean, these.
Well, first of all, suppression of the petition is a 1-year offense and $1,000 fine. Basically, 100 times what they charged me.
What?
Remember, I was going to go to jail for 30 days, and they were going to go and pay a $100 fine. If I charged them with suppression of the petition, it says all 4 districts didn't go on because, you see, they put me under personal reconnaissance, and they didn't instruct me. Okay, it was a trap, and I happen to know what personal reconnaissance is, so I went back and petitioned the court right after they had told me I was on personal reconnaissance and or let me go, you know. And I went back and said, listen, am I on that? And is this a bond? And in this bond, if I get arrested at any time for any reason, can I not go to jail for 60 days? And the judge wouldn't answer it, but the district attorney was shaking his head up and down, so I repeated it into the record. The district attorney was agreeing with me, and that must be the case. And the judge shook his head, yes. And he says, well, in that case, you better get ready because, you know, the state has basically stopped me from petitioning because anywhere I go, I was accosted by the cops. In fact, when the cops... one of the words that the cop said to me when I got arrested at Stop&Shop was, this is in Winchington, this is Gardner, when he was throwing me into the cruiser. He made that mention of that. And so he knew who I was because, see, they had, like I told you, they were following me and they were watching me because they're afraid that we're going to legalize.
Yes, they are. I do.
And they know that I'm affiliated with the groups in Boston, so they know that when I come out here and I get this stuff, that the ratio is all in favor.
Yeah.
We're all in favor here.
That's what's changed. The stakes have been raised, and I feel it too. I see it everywhere, and people don't realize. So what about petitioning? Are you going to go back? You know, we're not petitioning right now because, you know, that period in Massachusetts has ended and we did our petitioning. But the next time we start petitioning, will you be back at Stop&Shop? And you know, is there a way you can go after civilly after Stop&Shop? Because they, you know, these other ones, they at least gave you times. They may have restricted them, but they let you petition. You weren't arrested at Stop&Shop. That was an illegal action that they performed. I mean, is there a way you can go after Stop&Shop to make them, you know, to even hold them accountable to say, you know, I'll make a deal with you. I'll drop the case if you allow us to petition. And don't treat us like criminals.
You know, I did a lot of research. I basically shut down and started doing this case, okay, once I got arrested because I was in jeopardy of going to jail. So all I did was work on this case and start studying case law and start figuring out what was what. And there were several cases, and I won't go into the particular names and so forth, but there were several cases where they read exactly what's happening from, you know, to the both of us, the other individual as well as I. And some of the outcomes of the case were $500,000 in awards after in civil courts against these individuals who stopped petitioning. The last one I read was $300,000 cash, and they actually went back and forth with the jury a couple of times, and they tried to reduce it, and they couldn't reduce it down, and that person got paid $300,000. And that case reads exactly like mine, because I, you know, was also, like I say, I was injured, so that's probably going to be more money.
You know, we could probably legalize it with $300,000 in Massachusetts.
Well, you know, that thought had crossed our minds, you know, and that's why I did this. Keep in mind, I did this because you asked me. You know, because you know the group asked me to do it, and every time they ask me, I do it.
What now? Actually, say the group MassCann NORML. Is that correct?
Yes, MassCann NORML. Yes.